My name is Trina Hurdman, and I'm running for Public School Trustee in Wards 1 and 2. Well, the next 3 years are going to see some major changes in education. The Provincial Ministry of Education will be releasing a new School Act in the spring. They're also in the final stages of a massive-wide, province-wide research and consultation process that they call Inspiring Action and Inspiring Education that aims to improve the way we educate our students. How we support and teach special needs students is also undergoing a major shift in thinking through another report called Setting the Direction. Basically, everything we know in education is being rethought and thoroughly researched to make sure that it's in the best interest of our students. I support change. I'm excited about the changes being considered, but I'm also the mother of 3 young children who will be spending many, many years in our public school system, and I want to make sure that the changes being made are in the best interest of our students and that the community will have a strong voice in deciding what changes will be made, how we will go about making those changes, and really work together to support those changes. Our schools and our students will never reach their full potential until all stakeholders inside and outside of schools start working more closely together for the benefit of our students. And that's why I'm running to be school board trustee. I want to be the one that will bring all of these voices to the table to establish a clear direction with definitive goals that we can all work towards. Well, I just talked about the changes coming up in the next 3 years and how I want to improve community engagement in deciding which changes to make and in implementing those changes. Right now, the Calgary Board of Education is still very much a top-down organization, with parents and community members being basically on the very bottom of any decision-making process. Parents and other community members are always very well informed by the Board of Education, but they're not involved. And I want to change that. There are great ideas all around us, and we're not using our greatest resource, our people, effectively. There are so many people that care deeply about education that don't work within our schools. They have expertise in a variety of areas that could be of immense benefit to our schools, but either they don't know how to become involved or they're just unwilling to become involved because they feel that decisions have already been made by those higher up. I want to make their voices heard and truly bring together all stakeholders to make our schools the best they can be. Another major issue, especially in Wards 1 and 2, is the question of funding for new schools in newer communities and upgrading the schools in older ones. Having schools located in the communities where our students live is better for their quality of life by any measure, and it's also better for the community. Schools really bring communities together. With everything in education being open to discussion right now, I think it's really time for school boards to be firm with the province that the capital funding model needs a complete overhaul and that more local control will be in the best interest of students. We also need to work with all levels of government to come up with more creative funding solutions to get these schools built. I would especially like to see more pooling of resources and partnerships so that our schools become more multi-purpose buildings. Perhaps new libraries, community centers, recreational facilities, even social services could share space with schools and contribute to the building funds. As I said, I want to be more creative in how we look at problems and start looking outside the traditional models that we've used in the past. Another issue, of course, is fiscal responsibility. In the budget this year, the Calgary Board of Education reduced teaching and support staff within our schools, and they used $11 million of our $19 million reserve fund, and yet no administrative positions were cut. This is simply unacceptable. Our children are in the classrooms, not the administrative offices, and that's where our tax dollars should be as well. I would like to see a culture of financial responsibility within our education system, where everyone, administrators, teachers, support staff, parents, community members, even students, are constantly searching for ways to do things more efficiently. I've talked with teachers and administrators and other parents, every single person has ideas for where money could be saved. But there isn't a place for them to voice those suggestions. I want to provide that place where we can all work together to be more creative with our funding, to ensure that we're using our resources in the most efficient way possible. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm the mother of 3 young children, and so I have a vested interest in getting this right. I'm also a former teacher. I worked in Quebec, in Ontario, and in Taiwan, and have observed firsthand different educational models. I'm also very interested in education, and I'm constantly searching for new ways to improve the system. I'm a firm believer in learning from the mistakes and successes of others. The last thing I want to do is needlessly repeat mistakes that other people have made. We can't afford to get this wrong. I think my background in sciences has really helped me with analyzing different models of education and seeing which ones are really effective. I graduated from university specializing in biochemistry, and probably the most important lesson I learned there was how to take apart a research paper to make sure the methods used were appropriate, that the sample sizes were large enough to draw statistically valid conclusions, and to determine how much bias there was in the report. There's just so much conflicting information out there, and we need people who are able to determine whether information is valid and applicable, or whether it's being made by a group that's trying to further their own agenda. Trustees have a lot of reports to read, and they need to be able to cut through the noise and see if the interests of our students are truly being served. I've read some of the Calgary Board of Education reports where the data presented doesn't always correlate very well with the conclusions being reached by the administration. And I want to be a trustee who will be able to point that out so that we can work more effectively together. I also think that people should vote for me because I truly want to represent them. I know that I don't have all the answers. No one does. And not only do I want to be open to suggestions and input, but I want to be out there soliciting them from our communities. I really want to involve everyone.